Why is this even important and why do you need to do this? Well, first of all, you want to make sure that there is nothing that crosses property lines. So, for example, fences are probably one of the most common issues that we typically see during a contract period. This creates something called an encroachment. An encroachment is where you have something that crosses to one of the neighboring properties. Fences are a little bit easier to resolve. If you think about it, you can just pop the pickets out and you can move it over. Doesn't mean that it's not costly, especially it depends on what type of fence. But then we can get into some more complicated things. Like, for example, if somebody installed their pool and then put a paved patio off of that, or for example, somebody builds an entire building and accidentally shifts it over a little bit, all of a sudden you have actual structures that are now on the wrong side of the property line. So, with an encroachment, which we would learn from a survey. So, the purpose of a survey, getting real time data, having real time understanding, knowing about potential issues, and then dealing with it. This can happen prior to a contract or during a contract. Now, keep in mind, during a contract means we've got two parties that now are having to come to a decision together. So, what does that even look like? Well, first of all, you would want to present the encroaching issue. So surveyors have two ways that they typically do this. They will denote it on the actual map on the survey itself, or it could be in a list that's typically attached to the survey where they call out any areas where there is a cross over the property line. And that can be inches or a part of an inch, or it can be full blown feet that are now being kind of put to the neighboring property. So you guys can make a decision on how you want to deal with that. Do you want to have the other party remove the encroachment? If that's not possible, then do you want to do what's called an encroachment agreement, which means that both parties are now in alignment, that we're going to leave it as is, but we're not going to give that part of the property in perpetuity to the side that's kind of absorbed it. And then there's also the option that you don't do anything. But keep in mind, once you have knowledge of something, it then becomes a material fact that in the future does have to be disclosed. So I say all this to say surveys, why are they a big deal?